Hi, and welcome to the VieSID Press-release. In this video, we report on articles selected from the dental literature published in August 2022, and we hope that they might be of interest to the VieSID community. So let's begin. The American Journal of Orthodontists published a commentary by Antots to an opinion paper by Kandasamy, Rencuse, Green, and Johnston entitled Temporomandibular Disorders and Orthodontics: What Have We Learned from 1992 to 2022. It was actually published in December 2021. They published this paper to commemorate the publication of a similar article in 1992, and they reaffirmed their concepts, which the author summarized as such. Significant association between dental relationships and skeletal structure and TMDs could not be demonstrated. The development of TMDs cannot be predicted. No method of TMD prevention has been demonstrated. The prevalence of TMD symptoms increases with age, usually beginning in adolescence. Thus, TMDs may originate during orthodontic treatment, but not be related to the treatment. Orthodontic treatments per se do not cause TMDs. Evidence favors the beneficial nature of orthodontic treatment as part of the regimen of care for TMD patients. Orthodontics may assist in lessening symptoms. Furthermore, they conclude, once TMD is present, TMD cures cannot be assumed or assured. So, Antots criticized the view of their colleagues and wrote a reply that is entitled, "What Have We Learned? Clearly nothing." He starts by saying that the main problem is not only that patients experience pain, but also dysfunction and failing dentition, especially in subjects over 50 years of age. He then noticed that orthodontists often fear making wrong clinical decisions and presents a solution for as careful treatment planning. Also, Antots criticized dentistry literature for not reflecting the clinical experience. In fact, he said, if you can provide this treatment successfully for decades and the literature says you can't, then I would suggest the problem is with the literature. Furthermore, he also concluded with an encouragement to not feel alone and learn the principles of functional occlusion. Kandasamy and colleagues replied by dropping the debate and said that they thanked Dr. Antots for submitting what amount to Exhibit A. In our case, the defense rests. The Annals of Anatomy published a further article in response to a work by Macy et al. That we reviewed in December 2021. In that paper, the authors claim to have provided the first description of the third layer of the masseter, the coronoid part of the masseter. In the August 2022 paper, Madri and Jeckler contested that reports of a third layer of the masseter were made already in the 18th century by James, as is illustrated in this image. In 1745, James wrote, "The third portion, which is least most internal, is fixed by one extremity to the inner labium of the lower edge, and also to the inside of almost all the zygomatic arch, and by the other to the root or basis of the coronoid apophysis, where it mixes wholly, freshly, with the insertion of the middle portion. This third portion, by its near sense of situation, seems sometimes to be an appendix of the temporal muscle." More recent works reported on the third layer of the masseter, such as the most recent edition of Gray's Anatomy and Godi et al. 2000. Thus, Madri and Jeckler contested Macy's et al.'s claim of worse description. They reacted to the poor revision of the literature in Macy et al. And sort of slapped their wrist for not giving credit to the work of previous anatomists. Still, they recognize the important contribution they made in describing in detail the length, width, thickness, and fiber orientation of the coronoid portion of the deep layer of the masseter. I appreciate how seriously anatomists and the Annals of Anatomy take this matter. This composed and scrupulous debate tells us about the importance to maintain a professional and respectable stand in the medical and scientific fields alike. You might find of interest that the University of Coimbra is assembling a dental cast collection from living subjects using plaster models. At the time of publishing the Annals of Anatomy, Silva et al. Had collected 90 dental casts belonging to 69 females and 29 males, aged between 17 and 49 years. This collection is meant for educational and research purposes and extends the list of current dental cast collections, including already the collection of the Royal College of Surgeons of England, which comprises radiological images and dental casts from World War I. The René Menegat-Spock Dentanthropology Collection of the 20th century is housed at the Ohio State University and is composed of dental casts from approximately 3,000 individuals. The University of Adelaide collection is including more than 1,700 dental casts collected from longitudinal growth studies of Aboriginal Australians. Dental casts are available within the dental cast collection of the Université Libre de Bruxelles, and which includes also photographs and educational boards. This means that we have plenty of options in case we need comparative sample for our projects. This systematic review by Almazan et al. In MDPI children is focused on the relationship between facial skeletal asymmetries and the incidence of anterior temporomandibular joint displacement. The author selected 13 articles, 8 studies for the review, and 5 for the meta-analysis. Of these, 3 used lateral X-rays, 4 used frontal X-rays, and 1 both. They found that the distance between menton and the midline was significantly lower in adolescents and subadults with anterior displacement. Thus, were not able to reject the null hypothesis that facial asymmetry is associated with this displacement. However, the following comments are in order while discussing this paper. The use of cephalometric data is not suitable for the analysis of asymmetry. Lateral cephalometry does not provide information about asymmetry. Even when using frontal cephalometry, some landmarks might be difficult to locate. And the analyses are not adjusted for age and sex of the individuals. And furthermore, the diagnosis of anterior displacement was not corroborated with images, with image diagnostics such as MRI or CBCT in the studies. I conclude that this paper raised an important topic that requires the use of proper methods for the investigation of facial asymmetry and the clinical assessment of this displacement. In the Journal of Dental Research, Zhang et al. Investigated the response of trigeminal ganglion to estrogen status during pressure and movements. Using a rat model, they induced persistent inflammation of the TMJ region with a low dose of complete Freud's adjuvant. This dose was meant to induce only mild hypertrophy of the TMJ synovium, but was already sufficient to alter feeding behavior. They consider male rats, indicated as male in the figure, overectomized female rats, OVX, and overectomized female rats to which estradiol benzoate was administered, OVXE. For each experimental group, a sham group, indicated with S in the figure, was matched, which did not receive the irritant. An electrode was lowered into the trigeminal ganglion for measuring its activity during pressure, opening, protrusive, and lateral movements. It was observed that overectomized females receiving estrogen showed a significant higher response of the trigeminal ganglion during opening and protrusion, while lateral movements and pressure did not show any difference. Thus, they concluded that moderate but persistent inflammation of the TMJ combined with high estrogen status increases one, the number of the trigeminal ganglion neurons that encoded jaw movements in multiple directions, and also, as second point, increase the magnitude of the firing rate by neurons to jaw opening or protrusion. This is an additional news I would like to share with you. Hindawi and its parent Wiley publisher company have announced the retraction of 511 articles across 16 journals. The retraction of a paper implies that the published paper is revoked. A note is permanently associated with the paper, explaining the reason for retraction. From that point, the paper is considered unpublished and cannot be cited anymore. The reason of this massive retraction is that an Hindawi's investigation team found a peer review ring where reviewers and editors were working together to advance manuscript through to publication. Some of the manuscript appeared to be from paper mills, meaning that some actors had put in place a system for maximizing their published output fraudulently rather than following the ethics of scientific research. So the presence of such peer review rings is worrisome, considering that the review and publishing system is based on trust. On the other hand, it is refreshing to see that Wiley is righting the wrongs. Other publishers, such as IOP Publishing in Physics and PLOS for Science and Medicine, are following. Other publishers, such as IOP Publishing in Physics and PLOS for Science and Medicine, have announced retraction of articles. We come to the end of this presentation. I invite you to contact us in case you want to know more about our activities. Otherwise, be ready for next press release. Best wishes to all.